Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Smart Life Club. This is the Coffee Break Show, and I'm Vickie Helm. Nice to meet you. If you're new here, do me a favor and put your name down below so I can meet you, so I can know you, and you can be part of the conversation today. And if you're watching this afterwards, would you do me a favor and put hashtag replay play down below? And I just want to say welcome, welcome, welcome. Every day we go on Monday through Friday, we share insights, we share all kinds of motivation, we share tips and tactics, and we share tools on how to make a more thriving life, how to make a more successful life. It's a conversation we have where everyone gets together just for a coffee break, just for a moment, and has a good insights. It makes our day more productive, more connected, more in tune with each other. And I just want to welcome you as you're coming on board. And I had such an incredible morning. I'm like 10 minutes behind everything today. And I'm really happy that I'm just here right now, focused. I have my coffee. And it struck me today, why or what is one of the biggest aspects to being successful in life. And that is having a sense of self-worth, a sense of meaning, a sense of, hey, thank you for coming on. Everybody, I see you popping on right now. Good morning, Tina. It's nice to see you. Honey, I've been meaning to get down to your restaurant. Now, I'm going to do it very soon. I'm just so busy at this time of the day. Good morning, Robin. Nice to see you on board. Do me a favor, everybody, put your name over here. Put your name over here. If you're watching us on YouTube, welcome. We're on YouTube. We don't know what we're doing on YouTube yet, but we are there. Good morning, Sean. How nice to see you. Can you see me now? Thank you. Yes, I can. Thank you very much. Hey, Jane. Good morning. Good morning, Jane. Nice to see you popping on. Today, I want to talk about the most powerful tool that comes to your life that helps you succeed and helps you get real and helps you have a wonderful life. And that's a sense of self-worth. Now, I think many people, they absolutely confuse self-worth. You know, when you have, everyone knows they're a soul, most everyone knows there's basic goodness, but we've been talking about the things that help us become more successful long-term. We want to go from being short-term successful to long-term successful. We want to be short-term happiness to long-term happiness. We want to go, it doesn't mean that bad things aren't going to happen in your life, but when you have a sense of self-worth, there is something so important about having it, because when you have a sense, hey, good morning, Barb, nice to see you on. Hey, Karen, nice to see you on. Love your sense of humor. Good afternoon, friends. Howdy, everyone from Barb. Hey, Donnie, nice to see you on. Good morning. When you have a sense of self-worth, what happens is that, and the biggest difference is that you can make decisions on your own behalf. And most people can't do that. Most people cannot come to the table or be honest or be integrous because they don't know the difference of how to be their self-esteem and be in their true self-worth and be a people pleaser. So I would say 90% of the universe, the population, falls into being people pleasers. And what they care about is what other people think of them. And so they can't have as much success or a better relationships or wealth or whatever they want because they're too busy being people pleasers. And what happens when you're a people pleaser? You become the carpet, the doormat, the walk-on, the abused, and you understand that you're the one who's doing it, but you fall prey to everybody else's tactics. Hey, Sangar, good evening from Kurdistan in the snowing weather. Nice to see you on, my friend. Glad you're here with us today. Thank you, Sangar, for being here. I know it's in the evening for you. I'm so glad you've joined us. But what happens when you have absolute, authentic confidence? Okay, so there's real confidence and then there's fake confidence. Fake confidence is hidden behind your successes or the money you have, or it's built up so that when you fall, you can't even get up because you're so busy living the past. You're like, I lost everything. And then you start I used to have conversations. I used to have this, and I used to be this, and I had all of that. And this is what I got. But you're so depressed about what you lost that your confidence can't come in and say, okay, so you lost it all. Let's rebuild it right now. Let's see what else is there. You can't look at opportunities because you're so busy looking at your past, looking at the pictures from your past, looking at your friends from your past, looking at the life you once had at the past. Now, I know how painful it is to fail. I have built businesses and failed immensely. I built businesses and been super successful. On my site, it says that I built 12 successful companies, and that's true. But I started with 18, and 18 failed. It's like when you have 18 companies, 6 of them failed. And so I only put up the ones that have been successful, but people don't know, well, oh, she's had 6 really bad failures. Yeah, I have been so broken. Sometimes I slept in my car in my 30s. I was like, okay, I remember sleeping in my car for 3 or 4 days before I got some help from a friend who was like, okay, why don't you come over here? And they just knew that I could rebuild it. And so that's a point. Where does self-esteem come from? Where does true self-esteem come from? Well, that is a big conversation, because when you have true, authentic self-worth, that's when you actually can manifest. It's very hard to manifest from a lack of self-worth. A lack of self-worth just keeps you locked in a box, believing a non-truth, which means that you either believe you're worth something or worth less. And that is nothing but a thought. It's not who you are. Who you are is something so magnificent beyond words. And we get caught in the things that people say, this is what self-worth is. Self-worth is how smart you are, or how successful you are, or how much money you made, or we have all these disbeliefs here. So, people pleasing is arrogant, said Sean. I agree. People pleasing is nothing but you are a manipulator. You're a liar. You're nice. You'd stab somebody in the back as soon as they saw you. There is nothing. People pleasers are the thing that are the most dangerous thing on the planet. They hold no allegiance to you at all. It's like the borderline walking into being a narcissist when you're a people pleaser. Sorry, that's the truth. And if there's a lot of people pleasers out there, you're a borderline narcissist. You're not saying, I want to get ready. This is mine. I'm in this. There's no commitment. There's nothing. People pleasing is about you trying to get what you want by manipulating others. That's the truth of it. Sean, thank you for being blunt and pointing that out and calling it to the mat. People pleasing is arrogant. Arrogance is having your value told to you by outside forces. Yes, it is. It's told you. It's like you believe it and everything else. It's like that is the most important thing you have to understand. People pleasing is a manipulation. You're not even coming true. You're trying to fake it and hope somebody likes you. It's a very destructive pattern. Karen says, being a people pleaser stunts your opportunities for success. Sister, you got that right. It does. Robin says, so true. Pleasing others. You have no chance to really address what you want and need, and you gain your validation from others. So a lot of our self-worth we put outside of ourselves. It's how we look to others. It's the car we drive, or the place we live in, your McMansion, or the clothes you wear, what kind of, designer brand you got on, what things that make you look like you're a fashionista. And so what happens then is that you have what I call a false sense of self-esteem. And that is a stepping stone to having good, healthy self-worth. So it's the stepping stone. The first thing you have to do is understand that you can manifest. And this is how we do it. We learn new things. Hey, Kelly, nice to see you on again today. Thanks for being here, sister. So what happens is we think, we make accolades. Accolades help us have a false sense of self-esteem. When we graduate from kindergarten and we get that little certificate, or we get a trophy, that's another little accolade. And we graduate high school, then we graduate college, or we become number one at something. I'm the number one. What happens is we start realizing, hey, I can do it. That belief is why action and taking action is so important. Because when you start anything, the first thing the mind says usually is, you can't do it. You ain't good enough. It says some negative thing. And what happens is when you try it, you're nervous. You're like a colt. And a colt, when it's born, it gets on its legs and it's shaky and kind of wobbly. It's not sturdy at first. It's just like it's a baby colt and it's trying to stand up for its mom and everything else. And that's kind of how people are. And then when it stands up and it gets its legs, then it's bouncing around the pasture, everything else. That's how people get. And what happens is over time, you get confident on your legs, and your confidence is the ability to use your legs when you want to. A colt feels confident to run and hop and jump when he gets a sense of his feet. Self-worth is a sense of the ability to manifest what you want. Self-worth is a system within you. Now, remember, I talked yesterday about the soul and it being a magnetism system right here. It's supposed to magnetize to you the lessons that are for you, the opportunities that are for you, everything that is for you specifically. So when you start taking action, the power of taking action at anything is that over time, your confidence turns into humbleness. You know you can do it. You don't have to brag about it. Nobody needs to know it. They don't need to know. You don't feel a sense of needing to flaunt, or, you know what, I'm so rich, I'm going to wear this and this and this. It's like, that's why that type of confidence is why in the 80s and 90s, we finally stopped wearing those stupid suits to work. And now all high-tech wealthy people, like come in jeans. Millionaires love jeans and t-shirts, and they're cotton and denim, and they like experiences. Now, is there anything wrong with being wealthy? No, I think everybody should be wealthy. And you want to remain wealthy. And the way you go from being, at the short-term wealth to the long-term wealth is that you are maintaining your self-esteem. You're not trying to look at how much money you got. I'm going to show off. I'm going to go buy this $85,000 car, then this McMansion over here. You have some sense of what it is that you want to experience in your life. You have some sense of where you want to go in your life. You have some sense of you. So self-worth comes from understanding who you actually are, and not the stories of what other people say success is or what self-worth looks like. It comes from you loving the things that you love. Okay, so I'm going to be honest. Next to the flowers today, this is my ham radio, and I love ham radio. How many people do you think love ham radio? It's really nerdy, isn't it? It's nerdy to like ham radio. And above here and going this way, this right here, that's a type coin collection, because I love to collect coins, and not very many women love coin collecting or ham radio. And at first, when I first said that to somebody, I was like, okay, I like those two things. I like what I like. Now, when we have a sense of humbleness because we love who we are and we understand who we are, and we've had enough stepping stones that we can center in the feeling, self-worth allows us to hear something else other than our own mind. Now, and this is so important. Hey, Mira, nice to see that you're on. How are you, my friend? It's great to see you, said Robin. That's really nice to see you on. Hi, Mira. So glad you're on. Mira is my sustainable gal. She's just so great. We should have you on a show here, Mira. And Karen, make that happen for me. Let's see if she would like that. I would love to put you on the show then. So anyway, yes, we're going to be soon having guests. We're lining that guest things up now. The studio's taken us a little bit longer than we thought. So anyway, what we want to go ahead and do is accept who we are and what we like. If you're nerdy, embrace that nerdiness about you. And you know what? I am so nerdy. But if you look at Robin is nerdy in a completely opposite way. And we care so much about what other people think that we don't start, that we don't take an action, that we don't move. And every time you don't take the action that your soul is requesting, you feel a sense in you of feeling bad. It's like, it's subtle. That subtlety of not taking the action is the thing that helps you feel worth less. And you're just not taking the action right now. You might be scared. You might, whatever it is, that worth less feeling comes because you're not answering the call that's within you. Your self-worth is in your soul. It's very much soul oriented. Your mind has arrogance. It's the thing that likes to be a people pleaser. Your soul is the thing that acts on the behalf of you. I want to go over here because Barb said something and I love what Barb says. So I'm going to go and read it. Hi, Barb. Nice to see you. For what it's worth, was wearing jeans and a t-shirt for my biggest ever one-on-one sale. You go, girl. And it was on a day I forgot to put on my underarm deodorant and shave my legs, making the magic all come down to know, like, and trust factor. Oh, I was a CB radio kind of gal. So was I back then, back in high school. Now we're just aging ourselves, Barb. Okay, so thank you for that. And what happens when you start touching in to you and accepting you for who you are? For me, it had to come out in a long time ago. It's like when you are gay, you're either gay and out or not. And the pain of being not out it's excruciating. So the second you can accept that of yourself, when the whole world doesn't, when the whole world is against it, when the whole world is making fun of you, if you can be who you are, who you actually really are in the world, that's the only way you're being authentic. And sometimes you have to be you when the whole world hates who you are. When the whole world is like, yeah, you're out. There is no way I'll listen to you, buy from you, do anything from you because you're this. When you stay that course and you trust it, isn't that what Ellen DeGeneres did? And look what it did for her. It was like as she lost everything and she rebuilt it. Now, self-worth is still there when you're not winning or you lose everything or the unexpected happens. Self-worth is there when you have an illness. It helps you fight through that illness. It's a thing that gives you will. It's a thing that gives you that motivation to carry one more step, to go that little step further, to go ahead and ask yourself right in front of you, what does it take to win? What do I need to know? But the cool thing about self-worth is self-worth has something inside of it. It's like there's somebody there with you in self-worth. When you're listening into your own higher self, let's call it that, your own higher self, we understand that there's a lower self and a higher self. And in that moment, you're going to give allegiance to one of those. And remember, we said that thoughts can either do two things. They'll either impair your abilities or empower your abilities. And when they empower your abilities and you start becoming really authentically finding your self-worth by taking an action, self-worth comes from listening inward and following that action. You don't feel worthy when you listen inward and you don't take the action. It's a very fine, thin line between you and the veil that hides you and your higher self. When you act from your higher self isn't in your mind. Your higher self is here, and this is where your self-worth is. When we try to derive self-worth in our mind, it tells us that we must acquire. We have to acquire accolades. accolades that help us be somebody in the world. When you have no accolades, or the accolades are gone, or something happens where you can't do your accolade anymore, you're suddenly nobody if you listen to the mind. When you listen to your heart and soul and you take that action and you have that conversation between you and your higher self and you're moving forward from that soul, if something happens, instead of feeling worth less, you start something different. You ask a question. You say, what's happening now? What do I need to know? What's here to learn? Because you're actually having the conversation with your self-worth and your higher self. You're actually listening in and moving forward. When you don't take an action on what you know, if you don't take that risk, if you aren't willing to look stupid in front of the world, if you're not willing to jump out and say, I'm going to try this, even though I'm going to suck at it at first, and be willing to laugh at yourself, you won't get that feeling of, hey, I was out there, I took the leap. Self-worth happens when we listen in and we take the leap. It's not the outcome that matters. It's the listening that matters. The listening inward to that higher self that says, hey, oh, I hear the mind, but go up there and talk to that guy or gal. Go on up there. And you're like, no, what if they reject me? And that higher self is just take a moment. Go make that connection. Go talk to that person. See if they want your services. Step out. When you step out in faith in yourself, it doesn't have to be the perfect faith. It just has to be faith. You're planting a seed about who you are, what you're capable of, and what you can do. So where does self-worth actually come from? Self-worth comes from, in my opinion, the connection between you and the divine. The connection between you and the divine. The stronger that connection is, the more self-worth you'll have, because you aren't being led in the world by your mind or other people. It'll ask you, it'll bring you things that you'll notice. It'll bring you opportunities you couldn't see. It'll bring you synchronistic moments where you're, how am I going to do this? And suddenly you're having coffee with somebody who knows how to do that. All of those synchronicities give you a sense of purposeness, a sense of meaning, a sense of connectedness to the divine. And here's the thing, when we don't feel connected, we feel scared, lost, and confused. If we don't feel connected and we start using our brain to muscle our way through it, muscling your way through it is the hard way. If you surrender to the ability to say, okay, I really want to do this, show me what I need to do, because you're working with universal forces when you work from your sense of self-worth. When you're working from your mind, you are working alone. So I want you to hear that. It's so important, because I know when I started with my mind, and I tried to muscle my way forward. Now, I did it in two parts. I knew there was stuff I had to learn. So when I asked, what do I need to learn first? Bam! I did the thing I needed to learn first, which is I needed to learn how to write, and I needed to learn how to quiet my mind. But when you get to the point where your divine and your connection is there, your self-worth is always tied to listening to that higher self, to listening to that voice. That's where you feel connected. And the second you feel connected, you're using universal forces to bring to you those things which are going to help you succeed. And you need patience, because it doesn't happen overnight. It happens over time. And what happens is you have to let something germinate and start to bloom. You can't force it to grow faster than it needs to grow at, or the pace it needs to grow at. It's like we think somehow that technology has made manifestation faster. And perhaps it has. I think it's made it easier, but not faster, because creativity between the tool you're using to write a book and what's coming through you, that comes through you when it comes through you. It's like you could learn to type faster and maybe it'll come up, but the seed of a project needs to germinate, grow, have excitement, and begin to become a plant or a tree or whatever it's going to grow into. And that comes from loving it consistently, even when you're not sure what you're doing. So the key to having self-worth is that it helps you grow more faith in you, is what I want to say. What I'm struggling to say to you today, I think, is that the reason I'm doing it is because I'm trying to use my mind to describe something soulful. And here it is. Every person has some great gift, some great mystery, some greatness in themselves. They have inner genius. They have creativity. They have possibility. And the only way to get to it is through your soul. Your mind, although I love it and it does everything else, you could be mindy, and go find the right keywords and what is it that your person wants and create this whole mindy business and then not be happy running it, not be happy doing it, not actually letting your message, your energy, or who you are out into the public because you're just trying to learn how to make more money. So when your mess is your message, that's you taking another step into having and seeing where that self-worth comes from. Enduring things, getting through things, and overcoming things, those build self-worth and confidence. And sometimes they're not fun. I mean, they're hellish sometimes. Some people go through hellish things and they come out the other end, whether it's an addiction or a disease or an accident. They come out the other end of a divorce and they're like, wow, here I am. Here's where I am. Never lose that part of you. That's another step to you saying, yes, I can manifest and I can do. I'm going to go over here because y'all are writing. Let's see. Robin says being authentic plus honest plus open equal healthy self-worth. Thank you, Robin. Being authentic, honest, and open equal healthy self-worth. I love Nichols. What's her first name? Nichols. Speaker Nichols. She has this, I'm going to laugh later when her name pops in my head. She has this wonderful, beautiful thing about what it means to be free and have self-worth. And she's like, I have nothing to hide, nothing to do, nothing to fear, nothing to whatever. And she's so in the moment with the having nothing to hide, nothing to fear, nothing to do, that essentially she can be whoever she is in the moment. And that's self-worth, when you can absolutely be who you are 100% of the time. And look at how many mistakes I've made during this conversation, technically with the conversation being sped up. But right now, everybody can forgive that because they're like, well, she's being authentic. She's being who she is, and talking about it. And people aren't worried about how you say something as much as how you say it authentically. They can feel your realness. They can feel when you have nothing to hide. Like if you're with me, this is how I am, off screen, on screen, on the phone. It's just me in the moment. That's when you have real self-worth. It's just you in the moment. You have nothing to fear, nothing to gain, nothing to lose, no pride, and humility in that way. That's having fundamental self-worth. And fundamental self-worth, Lisa Nichols. Thank you, Lisa Nichols. Oh God, that was embarrassing. Sorry, Lisa. But that quote is out there and she's the creator of that quote and I love it. Sean says, thanks for helping me reach that divine connection last night. It was powerful for me. Sean, they're going to think things that aren't true. Thank you. I did too. I really enjoyed our meeting yesterday. We all have a superpower. Figuring out what this is has come from your internal feeling of what you enjoy in the act of doing it, and ignoring the attraction to operate based on the results that comes from an action. I'm going to read that again. We all have a superpower. We all are superpower. We're all superpower. Figuring out what this is has come from your internal feeling of what you enjoy and the act of doing it, and ignoring the attraction to operate based on the results that come from an action. And it's interesting because self-worth is pleasurable, even when it's tough. And I take that, it's like self-worth is the thing. Everybody has their sport, whether it's golf or kayaking or cross country skiing, whatever it is. You sucked at it at first, but there's a point where when something is hard and it's fun, that learning curve, it's like, I'm determined to get through that. That's self-worth. It's like, for me, it's mountain biking right now. And it's like on the uphill climb, how many more miles can I go? Can I get to 10, 12, 15 miles up before I turn around and come back down? What is the thing that I need to do to make those miles stronger? And then suddenly you're looking at books and techniques and going out there and practicing. Those things are all the self-worth things. And that's why I think sports are really good for kids. I think, getting out there and learning to ride a bike is this pleasurable thing that, well, maybe you fall down and you scrape your knee and you could cry. And then suddenly you're like, yes, but that bike is so fun. I'm going to get back up on it and get on there and ride and ride and ride and ride until I just figure out how to balance myself on that bike and have some fun riding it. Most everyone knows what that's like. That is core, basic self-esteem, just basic fundamental self-esteem. And when you have that basic fundamental self-esteem, it doesn't matter whether you get bruised up in the world. It's like your life becomes learning how to ride the bike, and then it becomes fun. All right. So last thing, I have nothing to protect. I have nothing to prove. I have nothing to hide, and I have nothing to defend. Lisa Nickel. That's what I want to end with. What is self-worth? I have nothing to protect. I have nothing to prove. I have nothing to hide, and I have nothing to defend. That's freedom, actually. Thanks for being on the show today. I'll see you guys for Thursday, Throwback Thursday, Taco Thursday. Mwah! Peace out. I'll see you guys later.